it's like there's this whole talk about the Autobahn being, they're going to put speed limits on the Autobahn now. And apparently it's one of those things that they're seriously considering, or it's already been voted through in the German parliament. I don't know. But things like that...
Yeah.
Like, no.
So
why?
My dad's been on the Autobahn when they did one of their trips, and then they said they're never going to do one of those trips again, and that's a story for another day. But, like a group tour, they're never going to do that again.
A group tour, yeah.
And we'll go into that another day, but usually there's no limit unless there is... An accident,
yeah.
And the day my dad went, there'd be an accident, and he was limited to 120 kilometres an hour or something like that.
So about 70 then, yeah.
Yeah, or was it?
About 70 miles an hour, probably.
Yeah, that was the one day. And then when he went back another day, he could actually go as fast as he could. And my mum said, because my mum was on the back, and she said, look, if you want to go by yourself and come back and get me, it's fine. My dad was like, no, it's okay. And she said, the only thing I ask is that you do not tell me how fast you're going. So she was like holding on to him, and he was gone. He was absolutely gone.
Did he tell you how much he clocked?
He has, but I can't remember.
It's got to be like 130, 140 probably on his bike.
A lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I think he ate a lot of flies.
Yeah. I mean, you see that a lot in America, where you get a lot of people that will cross the border into Mexico just to see how fast they can take a certain vehicle.
Yeah.
You see a lot of that. Like why? Why make us go all the way to Germany? Why make us go all the way to Mexico to just stretch our legs a bit? Okay, fine. Yeah, it's dangerous. We know it's dangerous. That's not going to change anything, but we want to do it. If people want to do it, as far as I'm concerned, they should be allowed to do it.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, fine. Yeah, you're going to run the risk of fatalities and stuff. You run the risk of fatalities in everything, in everyday life. You could ride a bloody bicycle and you could die from riding a bicycle. So, it makes no difference really to me.
It's
but there's this whole taboo around speed and and safety, and it's like, come on,
it's like
you want to do it.
Pedestrians get hit by a car and they die. So what are they going to do? Stop you from walking anywhere?
Right. Okay. Let me tell you this. Right. If I because you guys watch the videos, okay, you see how I ride around. I don't ride around slow, right? What I do, if I buried myself in a bush, going 120 miles an hour around a bend that I shouldn't be going 120 miles an hour in, guess what? I wouldn't blame the roads because we're allowed to do it. I would have blamed myself because I was going too fast.
Yeah.
Why are you taking that responsibility away from me? Like, imagine in a universe where you're allowed to go any speed you want, anywhere, and you crashed. Would you blame the government for not putting up speed limits and things like that, or would you blame yourself for being stupid?
Depends the sort of person you are.
I blame myself for being stupid. I'd be like, right, well, I'm not going to do that next time. I might go bloody 120 mile an hour around that bend.
But those utter Karens will be like, why didn't you put those Karens and Keiths?
I know that there's the whole thing about impacts, people getting impacted and stuff at 30 or less than 30 or more than 30, they're more than likely to die. Right, I get that. But I'm talking about like motorways. I'm talking about country roads where you don't expect children to be, like, why do they have to have speed limits? They could have speed advisors, speed advisory signs, but they wouldn't have to enforce them.
You've just given me like PTSD.
Mind blown.
Of that advert. Hit me at 20. 30.
Yeah.
I've got a 90% chance of surviving. Hit me at 50. I've got a 10%. And then she's like, oh my God, that thing gave me the creeps.
It's horrific. But I totally get that. In residential estates and in city environments, yeah, fine. Enforce all the rules you want. But, on roads where they're free going, you don't have to worry about traffic so much. You don't have to worry about this, that, and the other so much. Let us have the choice. Let us have the freedom of choice to ride and drive the way how we want to. I don't know. That could be an extreme view. I don't know. But the amount of times you guys are all bikers, you all know how it is, right? You go on a country road, you want to have a bit of fun. You want to push the bike a little bit. You want to twist the throttle a little bit more than you probably should because you want to experience it. You want to have a bit of fun. Well, I'm sorry. Speed limits, highway code say, no, you can't do that. You're not allowed to have fun on your motorcycle. And that's what I don't like. I mean, if someone could come up with a compelling argument to why we need enforced speed limits on motorways, country roads, let me know. I'm totally open to being proven wrong as always, but it's just from a rider's perspective, just from my own experiences. People should be able to drive and ride the way they want on certain roads where, let's be honest, you want to have a bit of fun on them. In my opinion, humble opinion. Yes.
Before, just a side note, before we finish the show today, can I go through the really amazing article that I found?
Oh, yeah, of course.
About
before you do, we'll go through the chat because we've got quite a lot of chat entries here that sorry, guys, we've just been ignoring.
We've been ranting.
Yeah, sorry about that. Lone Wolf UK, good to see you, mate. Mark, good to see you. Fidelity, good to see you.
125 guy.
125 guy, good to see you. Right, so Fidelity, speeding doesn't kill anyone, suddenly becoming stationary does. Apparently that's a Jeremy Clarkson quote.
You can imagine him saying that too, can't you?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? Because you've got both extremes. So you've got people that are going stupidly fast. Obviously, they're going to get themselves killed. But then you've got the people going stupidly slow. And this happened to my mum. About 10 years ago, she was driving her normal routes to work, 50-mile-an-hour roads to work, and someone, without any reason in front, stopped suddenly, and she crashed right into the back of the car. And from her perspective, okay, fine. The insurance company said, well, you were driving too close. Okay, maybe. But you're not expecting someone to stop when there's nothing there. Nothing. They just stopped. They didn't even know why they stopped. What do you think's more dangerous? Someone that's actually going down that road, speeding down that road, or someone that is going to stop for no reason?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but there's no excuse for that.
Have you seen that video of the woman on the motorway who got pulled over because she was in her Mini doing 20 miles an hour?
Oh, yeah. I see that a lot, though. Whenever I'm doing motorway journeys, I always see people on the inside doing 40 miles an hour, 30 miles an hour.
I'm not the most confident motorway driver, am I? But at least I stick to the speed limit.
It's not about
60 or 70.
It's not about sticking to the speed limit. It's about anticipating the speeds that everyone else is doing on the road, so everyone anticipates what speed you're doing. If everyone else around you is doing 70, 80 miles an hour and you're there doing 30, well, you're probably going to cause a crash.
Yeah.
Because no one's expecting you to be doing that speed.
It's true.
Yeah, Fidelity. Problem with that is what is reasonable is subjective. It is. But at the same time, I mean, it's like we were discussing earlier, you understand the risks. If you want to go a little bit faster, then you understand that there's potentially a risk of more mistakes happening. So as much as it is subjective, at the same time, it all comes down to your personal experience and, how much control you have, how much understanding you have. Again, that all comes down with experience and time. But, yeah. Yeah, reasonable. That's the thing. I mean, are these speed limits that we're finding reasonable? I don't know. In a lot of these areas, I don't know. That's another subjective matter. Lone Wolf UK, Fidelity. I live in the lakes. Beautiful twisties and stunning scenery. It is possible to run at 70 plus miles an hour on the roads that a local council have placed a 20 to 40 miles an hour limit on. Oh my God. See, that right there is what I'm talking about. That right there. Why? Makes no sense. On roads that people are going to want to go a little bit faster, people are going to want to enjoy themselves, they stick a 30 mile an hour limit or a 40 mile an hour limit there. Outrageous. It's got nothing to, at the end of the day, it's got nothing to do with congestion, traffic, safety. One of those roads, how many accidents do you think are going to happen along those roads every year? Compared to how many accidents you probably see in a bigger city every year. I don't know. I'd be interesting to find out what the ratio is between accidents on country roads. There's a road around here, actually, as well, where they have the classic signs up saying that this is a speed-tracked road because this many people have died on this road this year, or something like that. It's like, fine. That doesn't affect me, does it? No. Why should that affect me? If I want to ride, that's the thing. You don't know how these people died. You don't know if they were being stupid. You don't know if they were being reasonable. You don't know what the circumstances were.
On the road, when I go see my...
The council deem that it is an unsafe road, so therefore they're going to put loads of speed cameras on it, lower the speed limits, and put signs up telling you how many people died on it this year.
I don't know which road you're talking about, but when I go see my friend in the forest, they're everywhere. There's a speed camera, then there's a sign saying X amount of people have died, and then it's like 200 meters. There's a speed camera, and then another sign. And I'm like, I got it the last time. That you know, it's a dangerous road. Like I've got that.
Yeah, no. The road I was talking about is Ledbury Way.
Oh yeah.
And again, a really fun very fun road that you can ride
Open
on.
Up on,
Yeah, definitely open up on those kinds of roads. And yeah, like Lone Wolf was saying, you can do in excess of 70 mile an hour on some of these stretches, and they limit you to 40, 50 miles an hour.
There's on the way to my parents, I have to go through Ledbury, don't I, to get there. On their end, there's this really nice stretch of road, and I love that bit of road because it's 60 with no speed cameras around. There's always some moron who's going 33 miles an hour, and I just literally go into first gear and go around. It's so much fun.
To be fair, even if you find people on these kinds of roads that are going slower than you, you should be allowed to overtake them as well as whatever speed you want.
Yeah.
But no, apparently, according to the highway code, you're not allowed to speed to overtake.
Oh, well, I've definitely been
What?
breaking that.
How? How does that make sense?
So what I'm getting at is
if you want to get past the obstacle as quickly as possible, you're more than likely going to speed.
But this thing is it's such a straight road that it's, even if there's nothing in front of me, I will just put my foot down because it's so, and I have the windows open. It's just so much fun. It's so fun.
It's enjoyable.
Yeah.
That's
it's part of the reason I like going to my parents, because I love the
It's almost like, what's the point in getting a motorcycle to begin with if you can't enjoy it? What's the point? There isn't a point. If you can't enjoy it, there's no point in getting one. I mean, that's what we do, isn't it? We knowingly speed around because that's how we enjoy ourselves as motorcyclists. That's how we enjoy our rides. But we take the risk knowing that we're probably going to get caught at some point speeding.
Yeah.
So, God knows how many times I've been nearly caught speeding. Well, I've caught it a few times on the videos. There you go. Fidelity, as my riding instructor said, it's not speeding, it's making progress. So, yeah, I mean, I this is the kind of argument that I like to make a lot, is that speed isn't necessarily the variable that gets people killed. It's the experience level that people have. So if you have someone that has been riding for, say, 6 months and they try riding at 100 miles an hour, even on roads that they know, they're more than likely going to end up in a crash just because they won't know how to react in a certain situation. Whereas someone who has been riding for probably 20 years, even 10 years, is probably going to know a lot more about how to control their motorcycle. It's the whole that Dunning-Kruger effect, isn't it? Where you start doing something, and within a few months you think you're amazing, but actually that is your worst point. That's your most vulnerable point. And then something happens, and then you realise how bad you actually are at said thing, and then so your confidence level drops massively. But then as you get more experience doing it, your confidence level starts to go back up again, and that is when the risk of something bad happening to you doing said thing is minimal. So, I mean, the thing is, it's not like as if we're all going to be world superbike racers or something, you know. It's not like we're all trying to push our bikes. We're not trying to race, trying to win a race. It's not like that. So I don't know. This might be naive of me to say this, but I don't think that most people are going to be riding around their motorcycles as if they're on a racetrack thinking they have a time to beat. Most people are just going to ride maybe a little bit over the speed limit, 10, 20 miles an hour over the speed limit in most cases, maybe a bit more on straight roads, just to have a bit of fun, just to enjoy themselves. I don't. Maybe that's naive. Maybe. I don't know. But I know that I wouldn't personally. I know my limits. I know where I can control the bike, where I can't control the bike. But again, that's over 10 years of riding. So and even then, you make mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes. But a lot of the time, the mistakes that I make aren't because I'm speeding, funnily enough. Or if I am going a little bit too fast, I can control it. I'm able to, dial it back a bit or something, if something kind of goes a little bit skew-if or what have you. Lone Wolf UK, at Goblin Rise, what speed limit is...
the road with the
the road where the birdhouse is. It looks like you could get through 70 plus miles an hour easy. I saw you actually put off giving it a squirt down there. That's a little village. It's a 30 mile an hour road, but in between, there's two villages. In between the two villages, it's national speed limit, so 60 miles an hour. But you could easily get 100 miles an hour down there. easily. I mean, the problem is with that road in particular is that it's not smooth. There's a lot of bumps and stuff, so I wouldn't feel confident going too fast down that road. But yeah, you can go pretty quickly down there. But I think because that house is the first house when you enter this little village coming from the other direction. So I think obviously this person has put that there because they know that people speed down there all the time. So they I mean, I like to be quite respectful a lot of the times if I'm going down a little village and there are people that just want peace and quiet and stuff. I don't like to take the mick. I do like to, take it easy. And then if there is an open stretch of road where there are no houses, no cars or what have you, that's when I let it go a little bit. But yeah. Because, I mean, you know how it's like. You don't want... If you live on an estate, you don't want people speeding down that estate, do you? That's not really what you want. You don't want people barreling down 50, 60 mile an hour somewhere where they should probably only be doing 30. But on roads where... On the open road, there shouldn't be any problems with anyone doing that, as far as I'm concerned. Because who's it affecting? If you get into a crash with another person, fine, that's affecting them. But if you crash yourself, well, it's not affecting anyone apart from you. So who cares, right? But yeah, so it's it's a nice, easy little route there. But yeah, there are some roads around where you can do pretty crazy speeds without any issue whatsoever. Lone Wolf UK, you have a cool instructor, Fidelity. Mine was like a military drill sergeant. Yeah, my driving examiner was like a drill sergeant as well. Yeah, he's very, very direct. But he passed me, so who cares, right? He passed me. Fidelity, that was like 4 years ago, but I will never forget it. He understood the crack. Yeah, I think that's what a lot of these people need to understand, is that it's not all about safety and all that. It's about enjoying yourselves. I mean, that's like what I said earlier, isn't it? You buy a motorcycle, you buy a sports car, you buy a sport bike, whatever. You want to enjoy yourself in that vehicle, don't you? Rather than being restricted all the time, having to worry left, right, and centre about speed cameras. The amount of times I take my eye off the road to try and look for a speed camera is ridiculous. But apparently that is safer than just keeping my eyes on the road. Well, there you go. Who knew?